Namaste and welcome from Boom of Bharat. This is Rama Shiv Kumar bringing you a new update each week on GCCs. I'm the founder CEO of SRK Game Changers. SRK Game Changers is a GCC consulting and service organization. We provide advisory and setup services across talent, business operations, and workplace solutions. We're also very focused on the governance part of the GCC's process. We deliver customized, high performing GCCs that drive AI and digital innovation. We recently have Innovation Lab. We are leveraging the expansive skill talent pool and we have groomed the next generation leaders. And we make sure the clients and the GCCs who are working with us as indispensable part of the corporations. We are providing workplace solutions, building technology as a core. And today we really wanted to welcome a very, very special personality. Okay, and this is the first time that we're going to have inviting somebody who comes with a very versatile and passionate and a compassionate technology leader with a very proven track record in global digital transformation, spanning over more than 3 decades of diversified experience. She has been the winner of Jobs for her Rising Award 2020 in the Women in Technology category. So let's welcome Shama. She is a technology lead with one of the big top FMCGs, and everybody knows about that. And we're going to let her introduce herself. Thank you so much, Shama, for coming to our podcast today. So, welcome from Boomer Bharat. And this is something which we actually are doing a GCC update with the leaders to make sure that we create more awareness about what's happening in the GCC field. So thank you once again, and may I request you to introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rama. And it's a pleasure for me to be part of this event. So thanks for inviting me. I'm Kshama Pradhan, and like you said, I have been in the technology space for the last 20 years, but my overall experience spans to about 33 years. I started my journey in finance, so the first 13 years were in finance, and then I moved into technology and leadership roles. I work with Nestle today as the head of their IT hub that we have set up in Bangalore for Nestle. So glad to be on this session and looking forward to your questions. Thank you.
And thank you so much once again for your introduction, Chama. But don't you think this was a big, bold shift? Being a qualified accountant and then transitioning into a global IT role.
So I keep getting this question a lot of times, how did I manage this transition? So I'll probably share with you a quick story. So the first 13 years, as I said, I spent in finance. That was also the time, incidentally, that technology was picking up really fast in India. And that created opportunities for leaders like me to really venture into the new space. The reason being, while we were doing a lot of our finance activities manually, organizations were moving into ERPs. So there used to be, technologies like JD Edwards, BAN, MFG Pro, etc., which were getting implemented in those days, in even as part of the roles that we were doing then in finance. And I used to find myself raising my hand to say, hey, I want to be part of the core team, let me learn more, etc. And as I was doing that, I also realized my interest into technology. And therefore, the inspiration really came from my curiosity to learn more. And also the realization that technology plays a critical role. And in fact, in the coming days is going to be one of the key factors in terms of driving business strategy. And that is how it really motivated me to make that change and move into the technology space.
No, that's so awesome. Any experience with you may want to share where you feel that the GCC leads having a blend of both technology and finance could benefit from there. And I remember as you were talking about, my dad used to tell me as we were growing up. It was like, and it was one song as well, Baap bada na bhaiya, sabse bada rupaya. So, it's important for you to understand the numbers. That's very important. So, any experiences, personal experience or lessons shared with the GCC leadership that's important for you to succeed in both IT and finance.
No, absolutely. And I often, when I, in hindsight, when I look back, I feel rather than getting directly into technology, having a complete understanding of business process and then moving into technology has probably been the right thing to do. Because end of the day, doing technology for the sake of technology doesn't help. It really helps when it is adding value to the business. And when you know business well is when you're able to build trust with business, really, then you understand how the technology can be leveraged. And I think that is what worked well for me. That is what really happened in my case. Of course, not undermining the fact that you have to start from scratch, right? Because you have moved from finance into technology, there are going to be challenges, and therefore bridging the knowledge gap becomes very important. And I was able to there understand, learn. So I started from scratch, really, making myself open to learning. That was very important for me in the beginning days. Put your hands into it, make it dirty, take the learnings, grasp it faster, be a good learner. Those were very essential factors for me in the journey in the beginning days, I would say. Also, a shift that I had to make from the compliance mindset to an innovation mindset. Because a lot of times as a finance person, you're more interested in ensuring there's precision, there are rules, there's compliance in everything that we do. But as you get into the IT leadership space, then you need to ensure that there's agility, there's innovation, there is a risk-taking ability that you start building, because that's going to be really successful for you as a leader in the IT space. Also, if you have to lead technical teams, then you need to be able to gain respect from them. And therefore, there's a lot of hard work as leaders that we have to put in place to build a culture of continuous learning, to really embrace all the agile methodologies as an example, because that's the in thing into technology today. And then help people understand how the entire efforts that we take in the technology space truly align with the business goals that we have. Because if you, like I said, every effort in technology has to have a connection with the business goal, and that is the beauty. Because I still remember an incident from Colgate when I had joined them, coming fresh from the functional background from. And I used to see that there would be a lot of technologists coming directly from college. A lot of them would speak technology terms, jargons like objects and tables and stuff like that. And our business users used to get a little confused, saying, oh, do they really understand what I want? Because those were the days in the GCC world when we were doing lift and shift in the organization. It was about moving roles into India. And they used to have people near shore supporting them already. And it was a big change for them to be able to, start delegating work into somebody in India who's already going to sit so far from where we operate. And then people speaking language we can't understand. And I think that is where I was able to make a mark and build trust, because I understood what was the business requirement. On one side, working with the businesses to really give them the comfort that, hey, I understand what you want, and then working with the technology teams to say, hey, this is what we want to deliver, and this is why we need to understand business and deliver and speak in their language. So I think that gaining credibility in the new domain really helped me, and I feel this transition has been very rewarding for me, because it really enabled me to create a broader impact on the company's digital transformation and also on the long-term success. So I'm very happy to be in this space.
No, in fact, thank you so much. That's really good, because a lot of times when we are talking to the people, like you rightly say, technology, they talk in the tech language, business, understand, some of the other stuff. Great example is like, you're trying to do a hackathon and you say a treasury hackathon. And people say that, okay, at the end of it, what product of treasury are you going to make? I said, no, it's a service. It's going to work differently. You're not going to be doing a code and something, created. So you could see a different, mindset which is there. I'm sure there would have been a lot of good experiences which you have come up in your role. I would, also say that leveraging from your current experience with the top FMG brand, Nestle, where you're working, what role GCC plays, in terms of the company's global operations? Is it in terms of, because a lot of time people say, and you also gave an example, that was more on the cost efficiencies. But what I see today you is taking roles which are more global roles, which are more roles of working as a seat on a table or a strategic partner. So how's that made a difference?
No, absolutely. Great question. So I would say I have seen the evolution of the GCCs, So as you rightfully said, there were days when GCCs was about lifting and shifting business. It was more about being support operation centers, etc. But it has evolved, because today people understand that GCCs, the true value can be derived not by creating support centers, but by really making them a value creator, and to be able to really build that or get the best outcome from the GCCs, it is important to create space on the table for the leaders as well, because it's all about involving and integrating them into the decision making process. And that is why you will see now there is a shift in the ways the GCCs have been built. So it's no longer cost arbitrage, if I have to say in the real terms. It's more about value creation. It's more about being innovation led. It's more about decision making. That is really coming up from these. And therefore, a lot of areas where GCCs have been able to create impact is really AI driven supply chain optimization as an example. So sitting across with the supply chain folks, understanding their vision, and then being able to build or create technology products or solutions which really help them to create a factory of the future as an example, or really baking technology into the solutions becomes very key. Or other examples are also about demand forecasting, advanced analytics, robotics process automation, cloud migration, security operations. There are so many examples where even it's not just about managing infrastructure as well. And there were days when GCCs were also looked up to as being centers where they will manage global infrastructure, but today it is much more than that. It's also about driving R&D, product innovation, being able to create even a customer experience or market expansions. Finance has been truly benefiting, with all the shared service operations as well coming down to India. So I think when so much of spread comes as part of your GCC, then the leadership is something that will have to be built. I mean, that's also an awareness that has been come up. So a lot of organizations focus on seeing that there are global leadership roles which sit in the GCCs, because that way there's a good exchange of culture. That way, you understand that the GCC is no longer a back office. It is really going to play a role like a startup within the enterprise, where they're going to bring in value and not just support the larger agenda of the organization. I think India truly has a mix of IT expertise, financial acumen, and business analytical skills to offer, and that's where leaders create a big impact in this space.
So no, thank you so much. I think it's a good example that you're sharing where people can leverage our GCCs here. For the new European or US GCCs, what do you think? I mean, if you have to also refer to some of these mid-sized companies, what do you think they can benefit from, or any message or anything you would like to share with them?
I think they need to start looking at the GCCs a little differently from what traditionally has been the definition of GCCs or the way they have been perceived. I think we need to move beyond cost arbitrage and really focus on value creation, which means that we have to position our GCCs as centers of excellence. Building capabilities, investing in people is super important, and I've seen that organizations which have done that. I've been part of Colgate, Diageo, BP, and now Nestle. I think I've always seen a strong focus on building talent, building the future ready workforce. I think that is super important, because there is so much that the GCCs can offer, and it will only come when there is huge investment from our parent organizations into the GCC. So even if I have to talk just about the people front, because people I believe is the biggest asset for the GCCs. So empowering the GCC leadership for better innovation, engagement, also ensuring that teams are integrated into the global strategy decisions or discussions, and then investing with a lot of coaching, mentoring to our people, because I think India as a market has got a lot to offer in terms of capabilities. If we are also able to train people on the softer side of things, getting them ready on how to communicate, how to learn the cultures of different organizations, etc., I think that is something which will benefit. And thirdly, the most important point I feel today is the definition, like I say, of GCCs is evolving, and one of the key definitions today is of looking at GCCs more as an ecosystem rather than looking at them in isolation as a hub. And when I say that, the ecosystem really consists not just of the hub, which is based or which is created from the company's badged employees, but also looking at partners. Like, you have partners coming your way as service providers from different partnerships that can be built, or with startups, with universities. So all of this together creates an ecosystem within India which can truly offer great benefits for the parent company. So that's how I believe
No,
the
again, thank
GCC
you so
should be
much.
looked at.
I see a lot of passion what you're talking about, sharing, and that's very important for I would say the companies which are trying to come and set up here. And we've also seen a trend which is more like US centric, where more US companies are coming. What do you think is stopping the European companies? Is there something we could do differently to kind of engage with them?
Yeah, I think you have a very great observation. I believe, as I just think about it, I was part of Colgate to begin with, and that was in 2005 when I joined them, right? So I think you're right. American companies probably started entering into the GCC space as pioneers in the early 1990s and 2000s, kind of those days. And we did not see a lot of European companies coming in at that point in time. And I probably think it could be because Europeans have been culturally a bit conservative in this matter. They always had the near-shore people supporting into them, which was working well for them. I would also look at another aspect of it, which is more to do with a cautious approach, also because of some of the complex regulatory and data privacy related concerns like GDPR, which have been very peculiarly applicable in the European space. And then, as we all know, Europe typically has so many different countries with different language skill sets like German, French, Italian. So probably language and cultural barriers could be another reason why we have seen a little, US really taking the lead rather than European countries. However, I must say that I have definitely seen a change. I believe that nowadays there are more and more European companies who are accelerating their GCC adoption. Especially post-COVID, because post-COVID, I think there suddenly digital transformation started becoming an urgency. And as a result of that, European companies started venturing into it. And they also had these success stories from the US organizations coming in. So I think as a combination, now we definitely see a lot of European companies in the space. And I am working with Nestle today. I worked with BP just before this. And these are all like UK and European companies which are now getting into this space again. Of course, there's a lot to catch up on because their entry has been a little later, but also a lot of opportunity for India to provide value with.
So, the related stuff would be that what do you think that the GCC leaders should build the kind of skills which are, required to bridge this India, European, US work culture gap? What can they do differently? The GCCs could do differently.
Yeah, so I believe that GCCs have now to start really thinking of themselves as leading innovation. They have to start. They have to start positioning themselves as value creating partners. Gone are the days when GCCs had to be support functions. So as the GCC really needs to take ownership. So leaders and leadership within the GCC teams also have to start thinking differently when positioning themselves. How do we start establishing center of excellences of our key capabilities? And the advantage, like I said, we have in India is about talent. We have got the best of talent. It's a market which is an industry which has evolved over the last 20 years. So how do we make the most out of it and start building center of excellences with these capabilities, start owning some of the digital transformation projects end to end, start collaborating with the startups and the universities? I think India has got wonderful combination of these IITs. When we go for campus hiring, we realize, oh my God, the talent is really so mature, so built up. There are organizations who have now started introducing specific courses. For example, I had visited one of the universities when I was doing this campus hiring, and they've got a program on cloud, which is already part of their education when they go to universities, which was not the case in the past. People used to come out of the universities and then learn cloud as they started getting into their journey. But now all of this is changing and evolving, and it is really positively impacting the change in our education system as well. So I think we have got a huge opportunity to leverage all of this. And most importantly, I believe that we need to create a factory of leaders within the organization, because if we have to change the way the GCCs have to be positioned, we need leaders who can come forward and create that vision for the GCC and also build a culture. culture bit I believe is most important. How do you build a culture of ownership, of innovation, of respect, of of inclusion? Because I believe inclusion is the most important aspect in your culture, which is going to attract a lot of talent, good talent. How do you ensure there's work life balance for your people? How do you ensure you make the GCC a great place to work, where people want to come and work for you and want to come to office every day? So a lot of things that GCCs can start looking at themselves differently and start baking into the way of they position themselves.
Yeah, no, thank you so much to bring the point about more about inclusion, which is very, very important. Diversity, inclusion, they're very, very focused here. And it doesn't mean only gender. It means even, the mind, the diversity about the mind, the ideas what you bring about. That's really good, very good point. I would also just, try to pick your brain and understand that, you spoke about talent and, there's a lot which is being done with the academias and, as a part of Viksit Bharat, a lot of ecosystem which is being built. Okay, I've seen IIMs, I've seen CMA institutes and all. Our CMA institute itself is doing a lot to develop that AI, curriculum as a part of that. And they're working together with the government. Any pointers that you want to kind of showcase that how are GCCs themselves looking at getting that right talent?
Yeah, so based on my experience, what I would say is that when a new GCC gets started, the first focus is really to ensure that you have the foundational layer in place. Okay, and because we have got a matured talent pool now available within the organization, it is easier to start creating the leadership roles within the organization, get the right people who are subject matter experts, who understand business processes, who can really create and drive teams. So once you have that foundational layer within every function of the GCC, because these days, like I said, there are multiple functions, right? Even within technology, right from supply chain, marketing, and e-commerce, etc. Everything has technology baked as part of the way they work. So once you have that set up done, which is more in the buy space, then you start focusing on the build. And when you start focusing on building people, you really want to look at people who've come with a fresh mind, who are freshers, who are enthusiastic people, eager to learn more. And that's where you start getting into internships and graduate hiring. So you start visiting and connecting with universities, creating partnership with them, visit some of the startups as well, because there's a lot that startups can offer in terms of the talent experience. That you have got all of these startups these days, right, who attract the fresh talent. They want the fresh talent to really be part of them. And there's so much of learning. I was doing an interview this morning and I was super impressed with the way this person has moved across different roles, and every time the motivation for that person was to learn more. And in a very short span, the person has picked up multiple skills across multiple functions. And I'm like, oh my God, how did you keep yourself motivated to learn so much in such a short span? So I can see that there is this curiosity in the talent to learn more. It's more for the GCCs now to see how do you tap the right talent, use the build versus buy approach to really focus on. And I always keep saying this, I believe there is a 3R strategy that works well for GCCs, which is the right recruitment, because that's the starting point. How do you get the right people? The right ramping up of these people, because you have to invest in your talent. You have to ensure they've got all the coaching and mentoring facilities or the right trainings made available to them, so that they feel that they are growing within the organization, which keeps them satisfied. And then finally retaining your key talent. I think once you have these 3Rs in place, it becomes easier for GCCs to then start venturing into the space where they can become decision makers and really,
No, I can see that, you being a people leader, how much focus and passionate about, grooming these people. And, I can correlate back. We recently set up our own AI lab. And, these are all scientists, the data scientists. And you could see that, so eager to learn. Even those interns, they will be on the calls with the customers and then, kind of there, what the kind of, learning. So, that enthusiasm we said, and I keep telling the clients, I said, you give one application, you have one role, and you will see you will have 100 applications. Where in the world you could do that? And that's what we in India we could provide you. And
True, so
what
true.
I would like to also understand from you, that you've led so many large organizations. What do you think that in the next 5 to 10 years, where do GCCs are going to kind of head?
That's a very good question. I think, like I said earlier, GCCs will not be looked up to as support functions. That is for sure. They will be global decision making centers now, and they will have a big share in terms of driving the AI or the digital transformation and also revenue growth. That's definitely an area I feel the GCCs are going to venture into. We have already started seeing that. Like I keep talking about the ecosystem, I'm very passionate about it. The definition is already changing. GCCs is no longer about one organization. Like I won't say Nestle will only have a Nestle hub in India and that's the GCC for them. The GCC for Nestle is really how do they partner with the other service providers, could be the other people who can play a role. It could be about product organizations like SAP, Microsoft, because there's so much that product organizations offer as well. And then in addition to that, it's all about these startups, etc. So if we are talking about ecosystems, we are going to thrive only as ecosystems, and that's what the hubs or the GCCs will have to offer. So basically, we are going to move from being cost centers to revenue generating hubs for the parent organization, and we are also going to move from being executors to global leadership. I think that is going to be a big change, I believe.
No, no, that's good. That really gives an understanding about the GCCs are going to transform the way we are looking at global corporations coming here and using this to try a lot of stuff. You gave an example of startups, academia's entire ecosystem. That's really very very important message that you are kind of conveying to our audience. If that's okay with you, we have a small rapid fire round for you, Shama. If that's okay with you, can
Sure,
I go ahead
sure,
with that?
absolutely. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
try my best.
No, thanks. I know I am really enjoying these conversations. I'm sure my audience is going to learn a lot from this conversation today. So, a European or US company you admire for leveraging India's GCC potential?
One of the US companies, well, at this point, I would say it is Nestle, having worked with so many other companies. The reason being, I feel Nestle's got a very well defined IT operating model, it's got an empowering and inclusive culture. And it is also committed to transparency. And that is what creates a very strong foundation for leveraging India's GCC ecosystem effectively. They have just begun their journey, of course, not very old in this space, but I feel they are well positioned to scale up and to make a significant difference in the coming years. So the impact is something we'll definitely see soon.
No, thank you so much. I'm not going to ask you anything from switching careers, but definitely one policy change that could make India an even more attractive GCC destination.
That's a good question. The reason, and I'll also give you a reason, I believe that R&D incentives for GCCs, to especially for those who are investing in AI, automation, cybersecurity, deep tech innovation, if we are able to come with a policy change where there is more R&D incentive for these kind of GCCs, then that is going to really help us to attract companies who will truly set up strategic and high impact centers in India rather than just cost saving operations the way sometimes some GCCs are being looked at. So I think that's one change which should help us.
Okay, no, thank you so much for this. And my last question would be, if you have to give one key message to the global business leaders, what is that, how is that they could leverage India's GCC ecosystem for long term competitive advantages of theirs?
India's got a lot to offer. It's just about how do you build a vision which is really forward looking so that you can get the best out of what India has to offer. And internally, I feel for the teams or the leaders within India, adaptability is very key for them. So, how do you start creating this ability to learn, unlearn, and lead through change? Because change is going to be a big thing which is going to stay for a long time. But leading through change is going to really drive true success. So, that's the message I would have for both those intending to come into India, but also those who have to get ready for this change which is happening for us.
So thank you so much, Amma. If I may have to summarize, you kind of gave a lot of importance about, talent, the way IT can be used, and the way, we are building the ecosystem which can be leveraged by the GCC, companies which want to come to India, whether Europe or you're talking about, US. And UK definitely. I also see Australian companies kind of also coming, moving to that kind of a curve, which is like, okay, let's come and try something here back in India. So that's really very very important information and learnings that you have shared, and a lot of examples you were sharing what could be done through from an IT perspective. So thank you so much, Amar. That was really a pleasure to have you here. Thank you once again. I also learned a lot about how is that we could do some of these things differently. So for the viewers, thank you so much for tuning in to this special episode of Boom of Bharat. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights on the ideas and innovations shaping our world. If you have any thoughts or stories to share on this topic, we would love to hear from you. You could connect with me on LinkedIn, SRK Game Changers, or drop your questions on our website, srkgamechangers.com. Until next time, namaste from Boomer Bharat.